What is up, people? Jeez, we're back. We streamed yesterday. We're streaming today. Let's get me to 15,000 streamers. Maybe we'll have some trades into this afternoon. But I hope you're all doing well. Um, Coming into this, right? Today, pre-market, I had one trade on the minis, and then I decided to trade the micros, right? The remainder of this day, and I'll break down some of these trades. And I'll talk about why I didn't trade any of the minis today on this day session, because the last few days have just been impeccable. Realistically, they've been great. So there's not really much that I wanted to risk and overdo when it came down to sizing, right? Risking trades on today on the minis didn't seem like something I wanted to do based on just like the sideways move. So I said, you know what, I'll trade the micros, trade something, have some kind of trade ideas, and break this down. I'll go over some of these trades. I traded S&P pretty much today. I didn't really look at the other ones. I had an opportunity here on NASDAQ, right? There was breakdowns of plans on the day session here, but I was very focused on this S&P here. Like, if we take a gander at what we got cooking on the S&P in terms of trade plans today, the main trade, again, that I'm super happy with, right, this was at 3 a.m., I believe, Eastern time, but I'm in Eastern Europe, so it was 10 a.m. for me, even better. So that's it. I just set some limits long, ES 96 on the overnight. Stops, new lows on the overnight. That's it, right? That's all I wanted to see. We traded into the 19s, took my profit, and that was it, right? If I'm looking at this here, that was a trade. I just left them on there. I put the limits out, left them on, took them out, and that was the mini trade. Didn't have to do much else than that. And the rest of the plan, right? I was looking at around the 2022 as a massive area of resistance based on order flow. And then I want to see this guy hold the 08 10s, that level. The 12s held a bit better. But we'll take a look at some of the trades here. NASDAQ pullbacks, I'd say hold that 640, 650 area. Little wiggle room up to 660 for that long. That was the initial long that brought us up another 100 points on NASDAQ. But I was very focused on these trades over here. So when I'm looking at this right today, let's break down some of these trades. I did these on the micros because, like I said, I traded the minis at the beginning. I was done. I don't want to trade minis for the rest this week because I was freaking like low ticking and high ticking on the minis with massive 20, 30 point moves. I was like, you know what? Let me settle down before this thing bites me in the ass. So I was trading like 7 to 8 micros, nothing crazy today. I shorted these like 21s the first time. I got stopped out at like 26, 25. I shorted them again, right? This is all done in our live trading room at Trade Pro Academy in the mornings. And shorted them again, right? They did pretty well. I want to see that 10. Shorted them a second time, right? All the way down into that 10 this time. And then I started getting long, right? I started getting long at that 10 because I was waiting for that 10. I added a bit into the 08. I did get stopped out, only to buy it again for this last pop. But it was looking a lot more bearish, right? Once we started failing under that 12, it was looking a lot more bearish. And what do we have here? We're coming back into the top band of the distribution, right, that we had traded on the overnight session. And, oh, geez. And that's very interesting for us right now. The top band of the distribution finds itself somewhere in the high 90s. We just traded into that 96, 97, I believe, before catching a bid. And we're trying to push back up. I'm still very skeptical about these longs, right? Yesterday into the close, they dumped them. Today into the close, they're dumping them. This is a very important level to keep prices outside of the acceptance of the distribution lower. And it's like the final round for these bulls pretty much. But I think that tape is starting to show weakness. Tech is starting to show immense weakness here. And I'm leaning a little more to selling some of these rips. You can see net positive 1400 delta here. Some big buyers with traders getting trapped. But all in all, the offer is a lot stronger, right? Offer came in. The 10s, this is what kind of pissed me off because at the 10s here on the DOM, right, massive market buyers stepped in, right? Net 4,000 positive delta. Couldn't hold a bid on them. Reoffering. These guys got trapped, right? Now they're getting nuked. So we've transitioned fairly well, right? Closing under like 95 would open up a lot of this downside. NASDAQ slipping as well. So I'm not super keen on trying to buy these things. Um, if there's some kind of crazy action today as we're streaming into this high 90, mid 90, I'll pop along. But I kind of just want to sell into the tens. Saw some big market orders around the 98 half, 98 three quarter. Could be going up from here. Maybe bounce it again. Yeah, Jeff. Like, oh, I haven't seen that name in a while. Yeah, these high 90s, right? Very large orders on the rebid. I agree with you, 100%. I just don't see the extent of this bid going. Well, it could go a bit higher, right? It can go to like 8, 10, 12. But, well, first, I missed it. Second, I lean a little more on the short side based on like how heavy these guys are offering realistically, right? So that's my thought process right now. I want to see if these guys can continuously reoffer. You got to keep in mind we're below the initial balances of the day, right? The initial balance on the S&P is around the 10, right? Is around that 10. That's the initial balance. The initial balance we've dropped below it significantly. Now what's happening is they're holding it as a resistance point. There's a lot of volume at that block as well, naturally, 4,000 positive delta. So again, right, throughout this stream, if you have any questions, please let me know. And I'll be watching to see what kind of other opportunities there are on this market. NASDAQ, we're below that 640, 660 area. Again, around that initial balance low. What I'm expecting is continuity to the downside from that region as well. So I'm kind of looking to sell rallies, realistically. I'm kind of looking to sell some rallies. This thing has shifted fairly drastically to the short side. I understand that there's like final bounds of distribution trying to hold this thing as support and some buyers are stepping in. But the reactivity on the shorts, the way this thing dropped immensely throughout the day, like, psh. I am not a fan of too many of these longs. If we come back into that 08 to 10 area, we've got decent reasoning to look for short continuation there. What the sellers would do well today is just close this back into a distribution lower realistically. What platform am I using? This is Sierra Charts. This is Sierra Charts. Very customizable, good platform. Trading is about patience. Today, I patiently waited for one trade pretty much. But like if you're not trading in an area that you want, right? There's no point in freaking throwing size into this or trying to get into a trade. Holy shit, Sam, how you doing? Hola. How are you doing? That's a name that I haven't seen in a while. Hope everything is well. Nice. Doing well. I'm doing well as well. I'm in Europe currently. It's like pitch black outside. It's evening. Waiting for this thing to run back up. Do I have trading classes? Yeah, I do actually. At tradeproacademy.com, you can check that out. You could also message me on Discord, community.tradeproacademy.com. But how do I type on this chat? 1 second, I'll figure out a way. I was watching this auction right now. Yeah, a few years ago, for sure. A lot has changed. I've been using this system strategy breakdown for a few years now, but this is where I found consistency. Mainly DOM DOM and volume profiles, market profiles. How the hell do I... Oh, God. See, like, you can't even get up, like, through this 04 right now. They're holding an offer. I'm trying to log into this. How do I log into YouTube on this phone? Hey, where are you? Quick question. What was your thesis for the day before it opened? Did it go according to your plan? If not, how do you improvise when your thesis is wrong? My thesis is never wrong. The best of all time. No, I'm kidding. I'm playing. But generally, my thesis this morning was, well, I was long the 96 region going into the open, based on this, like I was saying earlier today. At 3 a.m. I just said I'm just setting limits long 96. It ran up to 20. Well, my thesis today was around 22. I'm looking for that short massive resistance based on order flow, and I'd want around like the 08 to 10 to hold on the bid to continue this thing higher. So if I'm looking at this, right, like these are, like I shorted 22, I got stopped out, I shorted again. So I was just wrong on the level by like a point or two. So I held that out. They held out around the 12. I got long the 10s after the second short at the same area. Didn't work out. I got long a little lower at the 08. It worked out. So generally thesis holds well. It's just sometimes, like you see here, it's not like extremely exact to the frickin' point itself. And at that point, I don't think that you should necessarily be discouraged and like super emotional about it. I think that see what you might have done wrong, right? If the level still holds and still trade it. If the thesis isn't correct, which I'm not saying that I'm right all the time, I'm just generally good with the levels that I have. The direction, right? Sometimes I get a little biased, but if it's wrong on direction, you just got to if you take a stop or two, like if you take a loss or two, you got to pull yourself out of it, take a step back and really understand what's going on here. And adjust, right? Trade based on the levels. If you're taking stop after stop after stop, you have to really, really take a step back and look at what you've discovered based on your thesis and how it could be wrong, and revise it realistically. There's nothing else to do. If you take a stop, that doesn't mean that the trade was bad or the area was bad. Maybe you're a little early, or maybe you weren't exactly trading to plan at that point. I think that every trade has to be really revised as they're taken on losses, especially, right? What was wrong here? But I think the thesis should stay fairly concrete, and until you have confidence that your thesis is concrete, you should continuously practice, right? Like continuously practice. You take 3 or 4 stops in a row, you just admit your defeat, review, journal, back the next day. Like so first trade was a stop, I took it again, nice win. So 1-1, another win. So 2 wins, 1 loss, another loss, 2 wins, 2 losses, another win, and that's it. 3 wins, 2 losses. That's life. What is the best time in the day to trade? The first 2 hours and the last 2 hours are the best times of day to trade, because that's when the majority of volume and volatility comes into the market. Is oil on the move? Someone says oil on the move. Someone said oil is on the move. Holy shit, it is. Let's go. I'm rich. We'll see if it continues. Oh shit. I think like the idea of having a trading thesis and it being wrong is very normal realistically. I don't think you should live and die by it, but I think that you should practice creating your trade plans enough so that the majority of the time they're fairly correct in terms of direction and areas that you care about. Usually some of the biggest problems aren't analysis and isn't analysis in the market, it's more so the execution that people have. Trading is a combination of planning and then reacting. Yeah, it's planning and execution. That's it, right? Planning, for me, trade planning is done pre-market. That's it, plan complete. And then it's all about execution. If you can't execute, then the plan's pretty useless at that point, right? Is value area higher, value area low a better place to put on a trade? They're both kind of the same, just at different areas. I don't think individually they hold any merit. I think that value area highs and lows in combination with different things like ledges and volume, order flow, kind of solidify the area more. When I take a stop, I always end up thinking there was a way to avoid it. Well, yeah, there might have been a way to avoid it, but like more so think about, okay, like was my entry good enough? Should I get into the trade again? Because often the case, like today, for example, I take a stop shorting 22, right? I shorted 21 mainly. 2021, that was the first short. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, shit, it was too early because I took a stop. If there's still reasoning to take the trade, why not take it at a better price, right? Do you accept sponsorship offers in general? What does that mean? Like, I don't know. What are you offering? Is this like a supplement type deal? Like you give me supplements and then I take steroids and tell everyone I'm natural? Might be your guy. Nah, I have no idea. I don't know. Elaborate. Maybe it's fun. You know what would be the craziest sponsorship? If I got sponsored by alcohol. Freaking love that. Let's see. This thing's climbing off of that high 90 right now. Like I said before, a little slow to... Well, I didn't even see it, so there's not even an excuse at this point. Top of the distribution, holding well, blah, blah, blah. And like as I'm watching this, yes, we're going up, but like, is the bid that heavy? I wouldn't say so necessarily. That's why I'm still hunting to see, because over here you start getting into an interesting area. Right, you got the value area low of the session. You got these massive stuck longs that are coming up in there. Those 6 trades. Starting to get interested, maybe a bit higher up. What types of bars do you trade with range? If so, what parameters of the bar? So again, I get this question a lot. People see like the middle chart here. It's not necessarily that important. The middle chart is just a visual representation of how price moves. It's a 12 tick range chart, so 3 points on the thing. A little reoffer at that 06. It's not necessarily at the level. The thing, what I'm thinking about right now is okay, like these areas traded fine, like 06, 07. If I go like this, right, and I start layering in a position, wait one second. If I start like layering in a position, let's say something like this, right, my stops are about 11. That's like okay, honestly. But I'd probably like it better if it was maybe a bit higher. Like you can see here, they offered at 5 3/4, 300, 400 on the offer, slams it lower. If it's like a one touch bounce back down to the downside, it's gonna be pretty shitty, but that's life sometimes. Yeah, Tesla got absolutely frickin' nuked. Not that surprising, I guess. One of these days, Tesla will come back. One of these days. When price gets into an area. There you go. What? When price gets into an area, want to trade it, become too intent on trading it and fail to see it may break. So you get kind of obsessive over the trade in that sense, or biased, I guess. Yeah, I mainly trade the DOM realistically. It's my main qualifier. I have the levels, and like the volume. Like if I was being honest, it'd be like this pretty much. Like this is the only thing that I use. Um, I'll have my regions, my areas, see where we're at in terms of price. Then like, are they actually holding the order flow well? Right? How's the order flow shaping up? It's pretty bearish right now. I kind of want to sell into pops, but like I don't want to sell it down here into '04 because if I sell '04, my stop's like closer to '07, '08. I would have rather been short the '07s, but I didn't get filled on that one touch bounce, so now I just wait. Do I want to be short the '07s? I kind of want to be short around the 10s if I'm going to be real with you, but if they start offering aggressively before that, I don't mind. Because look, like if I'm picking out levels, value area low is around '07ish. You have a lot of volume at that 10 naturally. The prior session, or sorry, the initial bounce is closer to 10. It's a harsher level over there. Now that we're so far away from it. The one thing that I hate the most is like flip flopping in trades, right? So like, let's say I get short here, I get stopped out, right? I think the worst thing a person can do is automatically just flip long and start buying this, right? Then it's just like double loss. You're not thinking straight. Generally, if you have a trade in mind, it's probably the right trade, unless it's like extremely wrong. And what I mean by extremely wrong, let's say I sell 10, right? I have some limits to sit out at 10 here on the S&P, and it goes to 16. I'm pretty freaking wrong at that point, right? But if it goes 10, it trades up to 11, and for some reason I decide to take it out, then it drops down to 4,900 even. Freaking stupid move. But you're either very wrong, like if I'm wrong, I want to be really, really wrong. I don't want to like leave it up to chance for me to be kind of wrong, if that makes sense. Like if nothing happens this whole stream, I'm not liable. Something happened last stream. I started a little late, honestly. Maybe we could have had a long by now. What's Nasdaq up to? Nasdaq is so deep in the gutter that like I don't even think I can get a pullback on it. Markets close in like hour 15 technically, the cash close. I don't see necessarily fireworks popping off after that. If I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah. So I said the best hours are probably trade the open and like the close, the cash close, like from like 1:30ish p.m. to about the close are like solid. Trying to not trade pretty much into the close because it can get very aggressive. Large orders come in, um, and they can just sporadically swing prices around. Am I referring to the cash close or the market close? The cash close, like the 4 p.m. close. Man, I know what indicators you're using. Oh, I love this question. No indicators. Like there's literally no indicators on this, right? Like, um, this is a volume profile with a TPO. Like the volume profile is the colored version. The TPO is attached to it, right? They're mirrors of each other, and then like a larger volume profile. And then just the depth of market, right? This all these levels and like lines that I've drawn are extracted from the volume profile itself. Oh, jeez, my neck. My strategy and system, the way that I trade and look at the markets is fairly simple. I get a lot of the understanding of auction theory, and that allows me to identify direction, levels to trade, strength, weakness in market participants where volume is heavy or weak. And then the depth of market allows me to see those things as well on a very active notion, but also seeing the immediate market activity, right? My lack of POC on your volume profiles in the TPO chart. Um, and do you. My lack of POCs? I got POCs on them. Might not be visible to you. This is also the wrong chart. 1 second. Um, Sorry, I'm just looking for the chart. TPO. There we go. This will maybe make a little more sense. I don't know what the other one was doing, but the POCs they were on the other chart as well, but these ones are highlighted purple. Like I do use the POCs as well, especially naked POCs. You can see where this naked POC from yesterday's session was. Poor highs, poor lows, so on and so forth. Now, let's all see. Like if I don't have any single trade on this stream today, it is what it is, right? I'm under the notion of not forcing trades anymore. If they come, they come. Do I use the VWAP or any EMA? I don't actually. I don't use VWAPs or EMAs because I couldn't be bothered. The probability of them working consistently is fairly low. They can help you with directionality and like trend, but not necessarily too much for like execution, in my opinion, at least. Yeah, yeah, Frank. Yeah, I didn't even notice honestly. It's technically the same chart, but like they're different colors. Wait. Now you got me confused. What's going on? Let me make sure before I start talking nonsense. Oh no, they don't extend on the other one. All right, there you go. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Personally, only trade IWM at the open. Interesting. Volume drops off significantly after 10 a.m. Eastern. Yeah, generally. I'd say the reason why volume drops off drastically around 10, 11 a.m. Eastern is because the European close hits, so you just strip a whole section of the world out of the market at that point. You don't trade the Russell? Like I've traded Russell a bit this year actually. The first time in honestly years. But IWM, like I've traded IWM myself a few times. Well, not a few times, often actually, but not like as a day trade. Like I'll trade IWM as like swings. Craig, when price hits all-time highs, how do you read the TPO and volume profile charts, or do you just assume price will go down? I don't like to assume price will go down. I like to. Well, obviously the TPO and the volume profile, they're going to give you some kind of information, right? We hit an all-time high yesterday. What happened is a cluster of like massive, massive volume. You can see by the green that my mouse is on. Trades at 30. 33 creates a poor high, right? That generates a topping out in the markets, right? So that with combination of the order flow on the DOM, you can find out whether we're topping out or there's going to be a continuation of the move. I don't want to assume that we're going to turn back down if we hit an all-time high, because as the all-time high was getting hit, right, I just want to be a buyer realistically. I'm not necessarily a seller until we close back below like 48.95. Like they're looking bearish over the last 2 days, especially on the closes. But if I want to get confirmation, I'd want to see acceptance of distributions and volume to the downside. You put options on the back burner now that you're. That's a good question. I haven't completely abandoned options. I trade options on swings a lot. Actually, I have a few going right now. I was long Apple and Dow Jones DIA options last few weeks. I've started opening up some puts to hedge to this downside on DIA, on SPY, on Triple Q, on I think that's it actually. But more so on a swing. What's DIA doing? Bro, so these graphs actually help you, lol. What do you mean? What do you want them to be? Oh wait, I know who you want them to be. Like, if you're gonna make a claim like that, tell me what you want. The internet's crazy. They just be saying whatever the hell they want. I found it. One second. You son of a bitch. This is it. This is what you were expecting, wasn't it? Like, wow, what a freaking idiot. I know, this is what you're expecting. Like, how could this idiot trade on just a DOM and volume profiles when he doesn't have all this shit on it? I know. Call me crazy. I like visual colors. A question: you use ETH profiles, but also RTH, ETH profiles. Do you mainly focus on RTH/ETH intraday? Then no, I don't necessarily like the intraday profile charts. Realistically, the intraday profile charts they develop as is. So I just use the ones. I'll use like the developing one for the RTH, sure, but I'll use the ETH that's already developed. If that helps. How many screens do we need? Well, I use like 3 screens. I don't think you need that many. I know people that are like that trade crazy size on one screen. Like 2 is fine. You don't need a lot of shit. Um, no, like taxes for futures and options. Well, I don't get taxed in America, so it's very different. It's not like a tax um, issue for or a reason for me to trade futures. Futures just have like higher liquidity realistically, and like they're delta one options. There's a lot of different variables, so I don't like day trading them realistically that much. If there's options, or sorry, if there's opportunity for like larger swings, I'll mainly day trade like index options on ETFs rather than like single stocks. Just join. What are we looking at? An hour deep. I'm about to look to short this and close this system down. If you want me to go over the trades that I took this morning and today, just watch the beginning of the video. Well, you can see them on the screen here, but I go through multiple different ones elsewhere. Shit, I think they just traded at 9 and I was over here showing this guy random meme charts instead of focusing on what I'm supposed to be focused on. Want to open the floor for any last questions, right? Still looking into this 10 area as a potential next viable move to the downside. 49.10s on the S&P 500 to sustain this constant offer that we've seen for the majority of the day. If we manage to close under this 95 and fireworks happen off the open, we're probably just going to trickle down on the overnight session before Friday, just start running this shit back up the highs. What's my opinion on futures prop firms? Honestly, like, I think they get like a bad rap for the most part. I think that if you they teach you discipline for one because they have very restrictive measures. They really press on the discipline, and you have to be very risk management intuitive. Uh, the bad thing is like the trailing drawdowns and the constant drawdowns, like you can blow out very easily. Obviously, they want to protect themselves. The thing is, like, not like most of them aren't actually letting you trade real money, anyways. So, like, that's the thing that kind of irks me a little. But like they do provide a lot of opportunity. If you do it well and if you do it smart, you can have like multiple mirrored accounts, like 20, 30 accounts trading even like micros, and they just get mirrored across the board so you don't hit that drawdown very easily and can extract good profits, right? As long as you're disciplined and you have a system that works. I don't see the reasoning, especially if you don't have access to capital and you're learning at the beginning. You put up like 30, $40 a month to get an account, right? You learn a lot more about discipline and actually trading with the risk management in mind than you would opening up an account with $1,000 of your own money and just blowing it to shit. Anyways, time for me to short this market, I think. The offer comes in against the 10s. It's 3 p.m. though. It's freaking shitty. Thank you all. Any final questions, let me know. That's crazy. I've never I've never had anyone talk shit about my charts. Do you know why delta is ask volume minus bid volume? In Sierra, there's a setting for the opposite as well. Who would use delta set? Who would use it? I have no idea. Delta is just ask minus bid. That's how delta works. That's how it is. You trade around areas of congestion. Not like, what do you mean by areas of congestion? Where there's like a lot of volume being built up, like a POC or something, or like rotations. I don't like to trade around POCs. I'll trade around other areas of thick volume that are away from the POC. The last chart I put up, that was crazy. Anyways, I'm going to be doing this tomorrow, but I'm going to be breaking down some of the thought processes for the week ahead and what I could see in these markets. But for tomorrow, realistically, if we can't open below 48.95, like, we're probably just going to go and trade a new high. It's Friday as well. And, right, the last thing I did want to say here is, yeah, I do trade the afternoons. I do trade the afternoon sessions. I trade the European session as well. But other than that, right, trade a lot, actually. Like, I think there's good opportunities, especially those like resting random orders. But I didn't have a single trade throughout this whole live stream, right? I'm just watching this right now. It's 3 p.m. It's an hour until the close. Not my favorite time to trade. Generally more sporadic. Yesterday we had a trade. Maybe tomorrow we might have one, but let's see what happens, how this thing breaks down. I'm going to be trading this live tomorrow with you guys in the morning at Trade Pro Academy, so go check that out in our live room. Do that every single day. And then we'll see what happens, what transpires into this afternoon session. Right now, fighting around this very large positive delta into that 910, an area of congestion, if you will. The only area of quote-unquote congestion I don't trade is going to be a POC. I'd rather avoid those areas entering into trades. But areas that have very thick volume are areas of interest to me because something of magnitude has happened in that area, right? So, thank you guys. I'll see